Hi, my name's Dave Cad. How's it going? Today we've taken a little drive to a town called Tammisaari. But the interesting thing about this town is that most of the residents will actually call this place Ekenäs. But Dave, why on earth would that be? Very good question. Now, Ekenäs is a majority Swedish-speaking town. Now, if you're anything like me about 3 years ago, when I really didn't know much about Finland, then you won't know that Swedish is actually an official language of Finland. But hey, you guys don't want to just see the inside of a car. Let's go out and check out Ekenäs. It's the middle of February as I film this, so nice warm jacket is required and a nice warm hat. It's actually a really beautiful evening here right now, so it should be really nice. So with Swedish being an official language of Finland, most towns and cities have a Swedish name. For example, Helsinki is Helsingfors, Tampere, Tammerfors, Turku is Åbo, and so on and so forth. And you'll notice on most road signs there is a Swedish and a Finnish name. In majority Finnish towns, the Finnish name will be on top, and majority Swedish towns, the Swedish will be on top. Like I say, if you're like me and maybe not from Finland, you'll be forgiven for not knowing that Swedish is an official language of Finland. When I first got talking to my Finnish, now fiancée, she told me that she was Finnish, and then to try and impress her, I looked up some kind of Finnish words to text her. And she was like, yeah, that's great, but I actually speak Swedish as my first language. That was very confusing for me. Okay, we're just going to take a pause for a second to admire the sunset here. We've got some serious snow here today. Now, I don't know the exact figure, but it's something like 5 or 6% of Finnish people consider themselves Swedish-speaking Finns, otherwise known as Finlandssvensk. Now, I can't speak for everyone, as I haven't met every single Swedish-speaking Finn, but from my experience, most Swedish-speaking Finns know Finnish as well, which in my opinion makes sense since you are living in a majority Finnish-speaking country. But there are pockets of Finland even now where you don't need to know any Finnish, you can just get by with knowing Swedish. Now, this was a really interesting phenomena for me when I heard about Finlandssvenska, or the Swedish-speaking Finnish community. Now, for me, getting married to a Swedish-speaking Finn and soon to be moving to Finland is a bit of a blessing and a curse, because Swedish is way easier for English speakers to learn compared to Finnish. But like I say, there are only very small communities of people that speak Swedish. Although Swedish is a mandatory subject at schools here in Finland, since Swedish is a national language here. As it turns out, Finnish-speaking Finns don't really like speaking Swedish. So as it turns out, speaking English is probably the better choice. Now, if you didn't know about Swedish-speaking Finns, you're probably wondering how it all came about. But around about 600 years ago, Finland actually belonged to Sweden. Finland actually changed hands a couple of times since then, belonging to Russia for a little while. But during the time it belonged to Sweden, a lot of government was actually ran in the Swedish language. A lot of important documents were first written in Swedish, and so it just kind of stuck around. I'm not going to go into the deep history, mainly because I don't know an awful lot. That's why I say around about 600 years ago. But there's a lot of information online. If it sounds like something that you'd be interested in knowing more about, just type it in, you'll find it. You gotta love Finland. Just as soon as you admire the sunset, it's gone. There's no such thing as a golden hour here in Finland. It's more like a golden 3.5 minutes. But it's okay, the house numbers are in both Swedish, Finnish and actually English, so that's pretty helpful. I'm just walking down the middle of a road here in Ekenäs because it's a bit of a summer town, not an awful lot going on in the winter. Isn't this just the cutest town with the different coloured houses? It may be cute, but it's still very, very cold, so let's get back to the car. Thank goodness for the car. Anyway guys, I hope you found this video interesting. I sure thought this subject was pretty interesting when I first met my fiancée. I've left an awful lot of gaps in the history of why people speak Swedish here in Finland, so do yourself a favour, if this interests you, go and do a little Google search. There's a lot of information out there. Woo! Time to get this car on and warm up, so I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya!